Hi, I'm Dimitris Haralambidis, and in this presentation we'll talk about solving quadratics and more precisely about the taking square roots method. Taking square roots is a method we sometimes use to solve a quadratic equation. It states that if we manage to bring a given equation in the form of something squared equals to something else squared, then we can easily solve it by either saying that either these two somethings are equal or opposite. To understand even better this method, we'll work together some examples. First example, solve 7x squared minus 7 equals 0. Since this method implies that we have to rewrite this given equation to look like something squared equals to something else squared, and since here we do have something squared, we have x squared, we will try first to solve for it. So we will try to isolate that x squared on the left hand side. So we'll write 7x squared equals 7, thus x squared equals 1, and now we are wondering if 1 can be written as something squared. Indeed, it's obvious that 1 can be written as 1 squared. So we should write x squared equals 1 squared, and by applying this method, we get that either these two somethings are equal, so we should write x equals 1, or they are opposite, or we should write x equals negative 1. Second example, solve x minus 4 and all this squared plus 5 equals 14. Again, we will try to isolate the squared expression. So we will try to isolate x minus 4 and all this squared to the left hand side. We should write x minus 4 and all that squared equals 14 minus 5, thus x minus 4 and all that squared equals 9, and now we are wondering whether 9 can be written as something squared. 9 can be written as something squared. It can be written as 3 squared. So we write x minus 4 and all that squared equals 3 squared. Thus, these two expressions are equal, so we write x minus 4 equals 3, or these two expressions are opposite, and we write x minus 4 equals negative 3. What we have to do now is to solve each case separately. From the first one, we get that x equals 3 plus 4, thus x equals 7. And from the second one, we get that x equals negative 3 plus 4, thus x equals 1 respectively. Third example, solve 3 times x minus 1 and that squared minus 5 equals 7. Again, like before, we will try to isolate on the left hand side this squared expression. So we should write 3 times x minus 1 and that squared equals 7 plus 5. Thus 3 times x minus 1 squared equals 12. Thus x minus 1 squared equals 12 over 3. Thus x minus 1 squared equals 4. And now we are wondering whether 4 can be written as something squared. Indeed, 2 squared is 4. So we have managed to write both sides as something squared, which means that either these two expressions are equal or opposite. So we write x minus 1 equals 2, or x minus 1 equals to negative 2. And we solve each case separately. From the first one, we get that x equals 2 plus 1, which is 3, while from the second one, we get that x equals negative 2 plus 1, which is negative 1. For any questions about this presentation, you can leave comments down below, or you can contact me with one of the following ways. As always, Thank you for your time.